I don't know if you can see the disgust on my face. The Tom was already on the ground. He was down in there. I guess you can figure out what happened next. Gone. Okay, this is on Monday. This is October 3rd, and this is my first day of hunting with a muzzleloader. As I stated earlier in the last video, Hurricane Ian came up. Of course, it was a tropical storm by the time it got through our area. So in here early Monday morning, it's just now breaking daylight. I'm on National Forest, and I'm going to still hunt. I don't know how well the still hunting is going to lend to videoing, but when it's damp, wet conditions like this and you got a gun, it's perfect. It's a perfect time to still hunt. So in this next series of videos, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to transition from bow hunting to gun hunting. And there's a huge difference. So stay tuned, and we're gonna get on this hunt. And we're still hunting that same buck that I've been after for the last week. Saw him on a Saturday along with a 6-point, and I haven't seen him since then, but I know he's still in here. So let's get started. As you can tell in this footage, it's obviously foggy, and as I stated earlier, Tropical Storm Ian had just came through, so the weather conditions were extremely wet, which made it perfect for still hunting. And as I mentioned before, I'm transitioning out of bow into muzzleloader, so my range is a lot further. But as you still hunt, I want to go over a couple of key points. I'm going to take 3 to 5 steps, stop, look, and listen if possible. Stop behind or in front of a structure, trees, rocks, deadfalls, stumps, just something to try to conceal your human form. A lot of times in open timber, that's hard to do, but you'll also know if you're doing all this correctly if you don't jump deer and if you're starting to see squirrels and birds at a close range. Okay, here I'm having a little bit of fun. Found this tree, looked like someone had painted a ghost on it. So since I'm doing the ghost buck video, I thought it was perfect. So as we're moving through the woods, you know, like I said earlier, I try to stop in front of something or behind something. So here I'm in front of this tree. I can't stress enough on the fact or the importance of using your binoculars. I learned years ago that when I'm deer hunting, whether I'm sitting in a stand or whether I'm still hunting, to look for a horizontal line in the midst of all the vertical tree lines. Once you find that horizontal line, then pay close attention. Try to pick out an antler, an ear, you know, the white of a tail or the white patch of hair on a deer's chest. Don't look for the entire deer, just look for part of the deer. And this can help you become more successful. Always know what's in front of you before you start moving again. That way you don't spook or jump deer. But as I said earlier, one of the good things about muzzleloading or gun hunting while you're still hunting, sometimes deer will stop and look back, which gives you an opportunity for a shot. As you're hunting, you can scout at the same time. Sometimes you can find some things that you may have overlooked or some things may have changed since you last hunted that area. So I'm always looking for food, tracks, droppings, and as the season progresses, I'm looking for rubs and scrapes. Sometimes you can get a clue that a buck has moved in, and that'll get you ahead of the curve. Okay, what I've done this morning is I circled all the way around, came above this location I've been hunting. Let's go through eating an apple. As you can see, this tree is loaded with them, and they're good. So I know the deer are feeding on this, so I think I'm going to may switch gears just a little bit. I come in here and do an afternoon hunt.
May do several afternoon hunts because there's 1, 2, 3. There's about 4 apple trees in here. They're actually bearing really well. Just got to watch where I come in at. You know, you always got to watch your entries and your exits. You got to be conscious, especially when you're hunting on ground. I've got my muzzleloader now, so I'm transitioning from bow to muzzleloader, and I'm set up where I can see a lot longer distance. I don't have to be worried about that 60-yard diameter anymore. You know, I can basically come in here and hunt. And, you know, in the woods, you can shoot 70, 80, sometimes 100 yards. You just got to be careful what's in front of you. So now you got a 200-yard diameter that you're looking at. So the fog's still rolling through here. As soon as the sun comes out, I think it's going to clear off. But this afternoon, this whole week's going to be really good. Temperature's going to steadily start dropping. So maybe we'll start seeing some more deer. It's 11 o'clock. I'm getting ready to leave. And I've already gave you a point about transitioning from bow hunting over into gun hunting, or in this case, muzzleloader hunting. But when you transition from bow to gun, make sure you're maximizing the effective range of your weapon. There's no sense in being in a thicket with a muzzleloader when you only see, 20 yards. Just take your bow with you, right? So maximize your area in here that you're looking, to potentially get a buck or a doe, what you're hunting. And that way you'll take advantage of your weapon's capabilities. So think about the range. And another thing to think about too is transitioning to still hunting. This was a perfect morning for still hunting. It had rain. Ian had come through as a tropical storm. We had plenty of rain. It was damp. It was cool this morning, about 46 degrees. And the wind was light. Now, a lot of times if it's dry and you have a high wind, it's a good time to still hunt also. But today the winds were relatively light, and then you had extremely wet ground conditions, so you could just slip along. So that's what I did. I got in here just before daylight, and as it was breaking daylight, went into the stalk mode or still hunting mode, and I just still hunted my way all the way up into the area that I wanted to hunt. And I just sat in here for about an hour and a half after I still hunted in. I haven't seen anything. So transitioning from bow to gun, do more still hunting. Now obviously you can still hunt with a bow. I've done it before, but it's pretty darn tough. So you just got to keep that in mind. So with your gun, you can still hunt, and if you bump a deer, a lot of times they'll stop, turn around, look back, and give you opportunity for a shot. So there's a couple more tips there. As we do this video, I'll keep talking about tips on transitioning over, but I'm still looking for that big buck. I haven't seen him in, this is a week. This is just a little over a week since I've seen that buck, and I'm starting to get a little concerned that he's already on to me. That's the thing about public land. Once deer start feeling pressure, they start changing their patterns. So I may switch and, like I said earlier, come in here and start hunting this on an afternoon hunt, and I may start hunting different locations around this area to try to mix it up a little bit. So we're going to ease on out of here. Going back in this morning, temperature's a little colder today. It feels really good. Wind is calm. It's clear this morning. And what I'm going to do is go in and we'll get set up on the ground. Yesterday we still hunted and then set up on the ground. But I've changed my tactics a little bit. Scouted all that food yesterday and all those apple trees dropping. So I just feel like that's going to be better for an afternoon hunt since it's a major food source. So I'm going to get on some travel corridors today. hunt just adjacent to a bench. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go in there to try to get a bench set up. Now, once again, transitioning from bow to muzzleloader. So the setup I've got this morning is for long range. So I will be able to see, 100, 200 yards. And the other thing I want to point out to you, another tip to you, is once you transition from bow to rifle, you better take your binoculars, because, you can shoot a lot further out there. So if there's movement out there and you're used to looking, 30, 40, 50 yards in front of you, you're going to miss it. So take your binoculars with you and be constantly looking all around, that 200 yard radius that you've got now with your muzzleloader. I've got mine sighted in for 100 yards. Some muzzleloaders are out to 150 yards now, so, and maybe even further. But whatever your distance is, your comfortable range is with your muzzleloader, you need to be glassing that area too. So we're going to head on in there. Okay, it's almost 9 o'clock, and got set up on this finger ridge, and someone came in below me. So I motioned for them to go on by. They went on by, so I figured, okay, they just ruined everything below me, right? So I got to thinking, I decided to move up. So I moved up about 100 yards, and there's a bench to my right. But when they went up, I knew that they was going to be upwind from the deer. So if there's any deer in there, I was going to push them this way. 30 minutes later, had several does come through here, and got my video camera here. Wasn't able to get the GoPro on this time and do the second angle, but I hope I got everything on my Sony camera. She came out about 60 yards, was doing the foot stomping, and made a shot. She ran, and I think she fell right over here to my right. I've been hunting that ghost buck, that large buck that I saw earlier on this season with my bow, and I committed that one area up there. I wasn't gonna shoot any does, but I'm a quarter of a mile or more from that area up there. So went ahead and turned the green light on for the does, and in this video I'm transitioning from archery season to muzzleloading season. So as you can see where I've got set up here, I can see probably 150, 200 yards. So when you transition over, that was one of the big points I made, set up where you can maximize the range of your weapon. So she was probably, I'll get my rangefinder out here in a minute. She might have been closer to 70 yards out. We'll get all the things together. We'll go up there and maybe we can pick up the blood trail. But during muzzleloading season, you know, take your binoculars. Now I use my binoculars with my bow also. So it's one of those situations where I like to be able to see, and potentially there's bucks out there that I can't see through the foliage. And in this section that I'm hunting now, it's more open, as you can see. So the foliage isn't a big issue. So I had better visibility. And that was another reason why when I started moving up here, there was a big deadfall recently and it was blocking my view. So I moved up past that deadfall and got in here. So it looked like I made a good shot. So, you know, we're in the Appalachian Mountains and hunting on public land. So this would be a public land doe. So I know it's not as exciting to shoot a doe as it is a big buck, but at the same time, you got to get that buck-doe ratio down. Hey, if you get that ratio down, that 50-50 margin, these bucks going to be going and chasing does a lot further, and the rut's going to be a lot more intense. So we're going to sit here a little while, 20 minutes or so. I usually give them 30 minutes. So we'll do the 30-minute deal, and we'll pick up the trail. Stay tuned. Okay, well, I'm giving this doe some time to expire up there and make sure, you know, she's down. I want to kind of show you guys again the spot I did this morning, set up. So I got my backpack in here, and this is a new pack I picked up. Been really pleased with it because I can put all my camera gear in there, all my clothes in there, and still got plenty of room. And that makes things a lot more convenient. Let me tell you, when you do this self-filming stuff, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy. So I got a tripod in there, I got my Sony camera in there, and you know, there's a lot of things that I've got to pack with me. And I've always needed the frame pack, so I got this frame pack and been really pleased with it. But anyway, came up here, and I got here before daylight. And as I said, I was all the way down toward the bottom of this finger ridge. And then had the hunter come in, and I knew then that everything below me was just blown. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, what we're gonna do now? And then there was a deadfall that was in front of me. I already mentioned that too, but I decided to move up here, and I moved up here in this area, and I already showed you on that other segment. But I set my chair, you can see my chair's right there, just set it right here. And I'm sitting this way, and this is my field of view. All of this in here. And as you can see where the ridge crests over there goes down. You can see the daylight or the skyline. You actually hear the acorn still falling. So just got in here this morning with my camouflage chair, sat down. I tell you, the cup holders are perfect for holding your ammunition. And, you know, I had my extra caps and things right there for my muzzleloader for that one shot, you know. That way I can potentially reload fast if I needed to. Put my binoculars in there. I could take my binoculars up and look around. So worked out really good this morning. It doesn't work out like that all the time. As you guys know, this is probably, what is this? This is the third video of our hunting series this year for 2022, but this is hunt number, I don't know, we did 4 last week, 3, 7. This is hunt number 8. But there was one caveat to that. Once I saw that big buck, I could have shot a doe with my bow, but I decided to hold off trying to hunt that buck. So still am after that buck and still trying to get closer to him. I mean, there's competition in here. You know, he could get shot by someone else, but that's just the way it goes. That's public land for you. And that's one of the things I want to talk about here in just a minute. I want to show you guys here what we're doing. See, this ridge goes up and the grade tapers just a little bit right here. Well, this is just before you get to the very top up there. And this grade goes around all the way out, and you can see the angle of the ridge. Well, then it almost flattens out. There's a really nice bench right over there. Well, after I shot that doe, all those deer ran right straight toward that bench. Now, I think And when I watched her, I think she fell right in there. Make sure you set up where you can use that range. I mean, if I'd still been sitting beside this deadfall down here, and this was one of the reasons why I moved. You see this deadfall? Normally I'm about another 70 or 80 yards down this ridge. Well, I couldn't see past the deadfall down there. I don't know how good of a picture this is showing of it. There's a huge deadfall, and it just recently fell. And especially when another hunter come out. You know, we talked about the hunting pressure. So sometimes you can use the hunting pressure to your advantage. You know, I'm downwind, the other hunter went up, and I knew he was going to be upwind of these deer, and it could potentially push them this way. So I came up here because of that and because of that deadfall. Primarily because of the hunter, because he had just walked up through the holler that I was actually looking over. So I knew that was ruined. So that took away part of my strategy. So I said, well, I need to make a move. And when I got to thinking about this deadfall, I moved up here. So there's a lot of red oaks in here. Speaking of which, right there's one. Right there. And I can hear the acorns falling. One just fell right there. So even though it's mature timber and you got the canopy with very little sunlight hitting the ground, you see very little foliage growing up, still got some mass cropping here. But it helped me tremendously this morning because I could make the shot, because I could see. All right. So we're gonna wait until about 9:30, and then we're gonna try to pick up the trail. Like I said, I saw her stop, and I believe she fell right up here. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you what the doe saw. So there's my pack and my gun. And that's where I was at. I was situated right there by that big cherry tree. I was in front of it, trying to use it to help conceal or hide my human form. So that's basically what she saw at this distance. And she still, I was moving around with my camera, so she still saw something. She didn't see enough to run, but she saw enough where she's stomping her feet. I knew at any moment she's probably going to take off. So I'm going to try to pick up on it on the blood trail and see if we can't follow over here and retrieve our doe. Okay, I tell you what I had to do. I went over there where that doe was at. And typically, from my experience, they're going to jump back on the trail that they normally travel on. Well, there's a couple other does ahead of her, so obviously she's going to try to follow them. So I couldn't find any blood, and I walked, you know, about 50 yards away. So I just picked up the trail right here. I don't know if you can see that we're on the trail right now. Just walking through here. And now you see some scuffed leaves right through here. And we're still staying on this trail. See this trail going right through there. So I'm just staying on this trail because there's some fresh, uh-oh, there we go. There's a drop right there. Oh, there's a bunch. More blood there. There's some more blood. Blood, blood, blood here. I can't tell if it's got bubbles in it or not. I've got blood there. And still on this trail, so it must be a long shot because it's blowing out pretty far. A little speck there. There's some and more. There's quite a bit there, quite a bit there. Oh, there's a lot right here. And it's on both sides of the trail. So that tells me I got to pass through, so I didn't hit any bone, well, any major shoulder bones. I might have hit a few ribs up on the tree right here. So we'll go around that. And right here, there's some there. Oh, I'm about to slip. Come over here. Oh. Let's go back to last blood. Right there. Looks like she might have turned downhill right here. If I don't slip and fall myself. Yep. See these slide marks? Oh, there's the blood right there. More blood here. There's a lot. Blood there. A lot of scuffs here. Here, okay, here's where she fell. See it? Easing on down. There she is. Quite a bit of blood there. I'm almost, yeah, you can look. I was 99.9% confident that I had a pass through because of the blood on both sides of the trail. So if you remember, she was coming down the ridge. She made a turn and turned back, complete 180. So her right side was facing me. And I shot her. And it was a great shot. But I'm gonna tell you something. I had to regroup. Been chasing this big buck in here, been all fired up about him on public land, and let these does go. And finally, I get a mature doe come in here with two more and give me a really good shot. Now, I didn't get my GoPro turned on, so I didn't get the double angle, but hopefully I got everything on my Sony. I got a little rattled, man, and that happens sometimes. So the first time I was about to pull the trigger, I said, no, I'm moving too much, take your time. It's a doe. Remember, it's a doe. So it's one of those. You know, 2 or 3 times, and then finally, and I was shooting off my knee. I didn't have a stick. Normally I'll find a stick with a nice V in it and shoot off that for a rest. If I would have had that, it would have been a lot better. But anyway, and I did take my rangefinder and shoot that. It was about 60 yards, so I was pretty close. So got calmed down and slowly squeezed off the shot, and I've watched her come over here, and I could pretty much tell she stopped because I saw the other two go across the ridge and she didn't make it. So we gotta get this deer processed. But that's how you can transition from archery season to muzzleloader. Set up in areas where you can see. Now obviously if I've been sitting there with a bow, I'd had no chance at a 60-yard shot. You know, I mean, if I was in a tree stand, they were still too far away. Those two other does worked their way around the finger ridge and on out on this ridge, so they didn't get any closer to me. So set up where you can see. Use your binoculars, glass longer distances. You know, pay attention to those things. Use hunter pressure to your benefit. Do some still hunting if you want to. You can still hunt as well when you transition from bow to muzzleloader. So there's a few tips on how you can do that and how you can be more proficient in the woods. I've got to get this doe out of here, get her processed, and put her in the freezer and ready to eat. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on public land, and hopefully we'll have a video of the ghost.